Hi, everyone. I'm Kaylee Nix. Thank you for joining me. We've got a FreightWaves industry update from one of our favorite folks to talk to, the group over at Tenstreet. And today we're talking all about a very hot button issue in the industry, driver wellness. So I've got Becca Matthews joining me here today to talk a little bit about what Tenstreet is doing to continue to support drivers and every aspect of their wellness. Becca, thank you for joining me.
Kaylee, thank you for having me. I am super excited to talk about this topic today.
So, as we know, it seems like, especially in the last couple years, the idea of driver wellness, and not just about their physical health, but from an entire kind of holistic approach, has really come into the spotlight. Tell me a little bit about at 10th Street how you guys have seen this continue to be a problem and one that needs to be solved for drivers, and why carriers should care about supporting driver wellness as well.
Absolutely. That is a fantastic question. And Kaylee, this is interesting because clients have been coming to us saying this is a big issue in our industry. This is nothing new, right? I've been in the industry for 12 plus years, but it's part of a wider, much greater retention plan or strategy for carriers, right? If we think about driver wellness today, we think about the amount of money it's costing our carriers. And so they're losing drivers due to health issues, right? Due to having to take time off with mental health issues, with physical health issues. But we're also losing drivers who can't get a recertification of a med card. And so what happens is carriers recruit drivers. They spend all this time on the forefront, proactively getting them in the door, and then we lose them on the back end. And so again, this is part of that retention strategy. But to kind of look at big picture, it also will cost them less money in the future because we can think about the insurance premiums they pay for all these health risks out there for drivers. And then also on top of that, we can think about, hey, what are the benefits of putting wellness in place? It's the benefit is you're creating a culture that's saying, hey, I care about you as a driver. Our company values you. This is an important thing that we're going to do for you to actually invest and say you're part of this organization and community.
Yeah, we continually see when we poll drivers and get their feedback about what makes them feel most valued, that health and wellness and a company who cares and invests in their health and wellness and well-being overall continues to rise up high on their list of priorities, right? Obviously, pay is always number one. Then you've got things like home time and time with their family and time off the road, which actually is a component of wellness because it factors into mental and physical health, the ability to get home and spend time with your loved ones. But then that investment in their physical and mental well-being typically ranges between like 3 and 5 on those lists of major driver priorities. And the companies that we've seen invest in that type of wellness program, whether that be through incentives or through making sure that drivers do get home on time or encouraging internal programs to support things like healthy eating or things like that, we see their retention rates go up. And we know that happier drivers stay in their seats longer. Talk to me a little bit about Pulse Wellness, which is a new offering from you guys at 10 Street, and how both carriers can use it and how the drivers can actually continue to benefit from it.
Absolutely. Pulse Wellness is a big initiative that we have launched this year to help couriers essentially reach drivers and offer different wellness incentive challenges. And so this is a customized program that runs through our Driver Pulse app, which has a huge network of drivers already using the app already, right? So inside Driver Pulse, a company can set up a wellness challenge. And we think about wellness challenges, these can be simple things that drivers can do. For example, drink more water, right? It could be a water drinking challenge where they're going to give up sugary drinks and replace it with, water instead. It can be challenges that's focused on mental health. And we've seen companies do things like a positive affirmation challenge. So as they're doing these challenges, they put an entry into the Pulse sweepstakes, right? So that we're creating accountability. So each day they're going to say, hey, I did this. I'm accountable. Here's my entry for the day. And they can also snap a photo for proof. So it creates a community of support for the driver, right? When they're entering into some kind of wellness challenge, it's a community that's competing against each other. We're gamifying it in a sense, saying, hey, let's see where I rank this week in this wellness challenge. They'll be able to have leaderboards so they can see other drivers in the company and where they stand in this wellness challenge. We can also offer support as well through video communication. So the carriers can have either other drivers post a video weekly for motivation, talk about success as well, or the carrier themselves can host that and facilitate it as well.
I love it. It's almost like finding your gym community, right? Like you are always more likely to continue to progress when you have that little type of community in there. And sometimes, especially as a driver, if you're on the road and you're away from your company and you're out of that culture, it can be very, very difficult to tap in. So I love that this initiative almost kind of gamifies being healthy, right? And it really kind of puts together the community aspect with the self-care aspect, which is great. What other ways can carriers support drivers and thus improve retention rates? And of course, the classic one, like we said, is more money. But besides that, when we're looking at retention, what are those big things that really help up the numbers?
Well, I think Kaylee, you mentioned it earlier. It's drivers want to be heard, right? They want to feel valued in the company, and so it's always important to have some kind of feedback mechanism in place. For Tenstreet, we have several different surveys that clients can push out to on a weekly cadence. They can do a pulse check with the fleet. They can actually set up automated surveys to check in at key points in the driver's life cycle. And really, that's to help the carrier not only hear from the driver, but also look at where potential bottlenecks are in their organization, right? Key areas they can change on. So it's always, hey, listen to the driver's feedback, right? Reiterate the fact that you hear them, recognize them for their hard work. So that's where we embed the incentives for drivers through 10th Street Rewards program. And then that third component is really going to be that pulse wellness that ties it all together. This is a carrier saying, hey, I'm making a long-term investment when it comes to driver retention, not just a short-term reactive approach. And so we hope that this sets each of our carriers up for success in really growing and saving, right? Saving money in the long run, but most importantly, creating a culture of valuing drivers.
Right. If you're a carrier, you take care of your drivers take care of you, and then it's a continuous positive feedback loop. I love this initiative that you guys are putting forward into the space and think that it's one that is continually needed. And we just have to keep talking about it. And eventually it goes from just a talking point to a trend to normalcy. For people who want to learn a little bit more about the Pulse program or even just driver wellness in general, maybe some more retention tips when it comes to hiring, 10th Street is the place to go. But where can people go to find that?
Absolutely. So they can always visit our website, right? Tenstreet.com. They can always reach out to us as well. And if they have an advisor there, they can reach out directly to me. That's becca.matthews@tenstreet.com.
Great, Becca. Thank you so much for joining us today for this update. We hope that you guys have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you soon.